And that's the basis of everything we do in our model, is to discourage people from consuming things that might hurt them. I'm an emergency doctor, I'm terribly simple. It's a very simple concept. Part of the problem with getting this message through in Australia was, do you know what? Different countries have different languages. You know, you're not great at that. You know? So it was difficult to demonstrate that there was evidence. Both of these guys, Gregor and Harold, are not Spanish speakers. They're just gifted in languages. They were publishing. So there was evidence out there, but not in the English language. There was a very sort of mischievous paper that we struggled against forever by Dr. Winstock, who now runs the Global Drug Survey. He's since recanted on his position. He likes pill testing now. But this was what was thrown back in our face all the time in the mid-2000s. The only thing that was considered was, you know, this might not be useful. That was the extent of the opposition. In the meantime, I decided to see what would happen around Australia, mostly South Australia to be honest. And so we did 5 years of looking at what was going on, attended 13 events from largely the Enchanted Forest. We did 5,000 interviews. We even took members of Parliament to music festivals, something that's becoming terribly fashionable at the moment. I was young and thin. We published this data, and this data was available. And sadly, you know, it sort of presaged what we know as far as the market is concerned now, is that even then, strange products were emerging, strange products that might not be usefully identified by reagent testing. That's what this paper shows, is that there are things which weren't turning up with just reagent testing. And it definitely showed the same sort of behavioral changes that we were seeing in our colleagues in Europe, from consumers over there. And that's hardly surprising, because the separation of Australia from Gondwana land is not so different that you're different species just yet. Of course it's going to be the same as it is in Europe. And this persisted. So over 60% of the time, people who had their pills tested were doing something other than consuming those pills. A decade ago, longer than that, the AMA actually came out in support of a trial. It was after a lot of headbutting, but this has been the official position of the Australian Medical Association. Now, they've had presidents in the interim who have aspirations to politics on the rightward side of politics and who have said, oh no, we don't do that. This has been on the books all the time since then. Personal opinions may have been expressed by members of the AMA, but this is the official AMA position, which they have very recently, vigorously reiterated. So why not? Why not do this? Well, because I'm very dangerous. I'm not sure that any of you should be so close. The danger that I represent is representing drugs as a health issue in Australia. God forbid that should ever be the case. And I'm going off message, which I suspect most of you in this audience are probably off message as well. That was my first real taste of politics. I was an observer of politics, but I'm never the victim of politics. This chap here I love. He actually, he's one of the most hilarious people I've ever met. He's actually quite bright, but his understanding of drugs policy is just negligible. He was the one in the Ministerial Council of Drug Strategy in 2005 that introduced the diktat that there would be no pill testing in Australia. That was a diktat that was in fact covered by freedom of information. We were not actually able to get the reasoning behind that, although we applied. They targeted both ourselves and a group of people like Brave Safe, a group called Blue Light and Enlighten, demanding funding details as a mode of intimidation. And they contacted the people with whom, so back then we were going to use some equipment which was similar to that which we use at the moment, and they contacted them and told them that their government contracts would be in jeopardy if they liaised with us. So this is the degree of opposition, even back then, that people who were trying to introduce this were facing. This was my first opportunity to write an op-ed. I love this. This is one of my favorite things I've ever read. So if you haven't read that, please do. It's terribly rude. In 2005, at the Club Health Conference in 2005, this was being distributed. And to me, this is the first of the novel products that we're all really nervous about now. This is the earliest photographic description that I've been able to find. Obviously fascinated by it, obviously scored some, obviously took it back to my lab, and it was like 95% methadone, which we've never seen before. being retailed as a social tonic. And this is rather when we saw this shift by very sophisticated users into the very diverse product market. We published from our emergency department monitoring the first report of mephedrone in Australia. And what we do, this is really simple. And this is not by me, this is from a colleague of mine who very kindly has allowed me to show it and has insisted that I don't say who it is, so I won't, Professor Funk. And it's an infographic for our more sort of stumped opponents. People like Steph. Steph meets and greets somebody at the beginning of the process. It all occurs in a medical facility because it's medically supervised pill testing. And Steph will come up to them and say, you do realise that the best way not to get hurt by drugs today is not to use any drugs today. It's very simple, and so it kind of puts a lie to the suggestion that in any way we're encouraging drug consumption, because of course we're not. So a person comes in, it's medical, they're not allowed to take photos, we take their camera from them, it goes into a safe, and if they're very lucky they might get the right one back, ASAP. And then the pill is handed to a chemist. Not a well-meaning person, a chemist from the College of Chemistry, where terribly clever people go. Our chemist does the work for WADA. He's a postdoc. He's got lots of little chemists running underneath him. We use at the moment a piece of equipment called a Fourier transform infrared spectrophotometer. You could use lots of different equipment. We'll look into that shortly. But that's what we use to give us an idea of what's going on. We see whether or not it's what they think it is. If it is, it's attributed a white color. If it's something other than what they think it is, it's attributed a yellow. If it's something that is truly, almost certainly going to end you up in intensive care, you get a red. Nothing there is saying it's all okay. Then you get to talk to the ugly fat Irish guy about the error of your ways. Then you get to sit down with the glamorous youngsters about how they can stay safe. And then you have the opportunity to discard your drugs. It's terribly simple because it has to be for me to understand it. I am one step above a veterinarian. So we've kept it really, really simple. It's far more sophisticated elsewhere. This is from the EMCDDA 2018 report. I'm not going to go through all of it, but it talks about all the different ways that you can approach this. And there are many different ways. There are many different analytical techniques. You can do it at music festivals, you can do it at static sites like they do in the Netherlands. There's lots of different ways to approach this. And it attributes the utility of these different approaches. This is so much more a sophisticated conversation than we're having currently in Australia. I hear this a lot. How does pill testing address overdoses? It can't prevent overdoses. It actually does. That's the whole point. It prevents overdoses. Here's 54 pills. That's a light evening's work for any Australian who loves binging on drugs. That's great. It's probably representative of a stash of a group of people. And I can tell you now, without pill testing, you might, if you're unlucky, have within this batch something that's PMA. You might have something that's N-ethylpentylone, which we discovered in Canberra. You might have a high-potency MDMA, all of which, on their own, are going to cause you grief. None of these, your behavior is going to change, not one whit, if you don't have any pill testing here. You're just going to have a crack. You've managed to get past the front gate. This is fair game. 100% chance, if harm is going to occur, it's going to occur in this environment. With pill testing. You still have these, but people change their behaviors on the basis of analysis. And what we've seen is that up to 60% will do something other than take what they were going to take otherwise. It doesn't mean they're going to join a monastery and swear off drugs forever, because that's not this scene. Oh, you can wave that as much as you like, buddy. You need a taser to get me off. So that's not going to happen. But they may actually not use the full quantity that they're going to. It changes their behavior in a manner that makes them less likely to get harmed. So they've got about a third of a chance that they did have to hurt themselves. This is our setup here. It's very vestigial. Wait till you see what we've got lined up this year. There's our chemist, who never smiles because chemists don't. That's the spectra for the N-ethyl pentala. And there's Ginny, sitting there scoffing food before the hunters arrive. That's our setup. And our study, which is open to all of you to read, is full of fairly significant findings. These are the ones I like. More than half contained low amounts of MDMA or other products. Nearly half said it would change their behavior. And 20% said they would discard their substances altogether. So we believe in open science. That's there for your review. We hear this, it's only a pilot, it doesn't give us anything. It's a pilot that's evolved over 2 decades from within the Australian ecosystem for the Australian ecosystem. It's a system that addresses all of the cultural and legal aspects that need to be addressed. And it's weirdly still the only jurisdiction that's moved on from talking about it to getting on with it. So that's who we are now. We're pill testing Australia. It's got big fonts and simple words for your elected colleagues to read. Elsewhere in the world, our colleagues in Europe have demonstrated that, this is from the We Are the Loop mob, that it can reduce festival hospital attendances by 95%. I would say that the caveat is that it's not clear from the paper where that data is derived from, but that's what's published. So to say that there's not enough evidence, I think is cactus. I love the debate. I'm your man, and I know Andrew from way back. So I'm not don't worry, Andrew, this is not what's going to happen. Yeah, that's right, Michael, that's right. But we are seeing in this debate a false balance. So we're seeing that this is a phenomenon you see in climate change, where you have the overwhelming majority of people who believe in one thing, and some of our colleagues who are given an opportunity to say what they think as a balance. It doesn't mean that they're equivalent in scientific validity. It's just that it's a media balance. And I think Andrew should be applauded for actually having the modesty to stand up here today. I thought I'd finish off by addressing some of these zombie arguments against pill testing and things. Zombie arguments, these are arguments that are already dead everywhere else in the world. They just don't know they're dead in Australia. So I'm going to start with a technical one. And so these are technical arguments that scraping is bad, you can't measure doses, and to do it right would take too long. And so there's 2 experts in Australia that are behind this, that think this is the case. Yeah, 2. And you know, they're getting good coverage. I think that's me. I'm not sure. They haven't got the sideburns right. But you'll note that there's a certain political bent behind this sort of coverage. There's a certain sector of society that wants to tell us that it's not good. I don't know where the rest of the experts are. They may be in a different dimension. Maybe they're in Narnia. They're not coming up to speak, but they're not right there. We've addressed these concerns again and again and again. Take a picture of this, please, just and go to the website, because I know it's in French, but they're doing precisely what it is our experts are saying can be done. And I don't know, I mean, maybe the entire scientific community in the world is conspiring against the experts who are against pill testing, but it is being done on video there. Here is some more stuff not being done in Switzerland. So this is a dose of 221 milligrams from a tablet, which is clearly, that's because it's a dose that can't be done. This is more people faking it in Vienna. So this is a van which contains 4 HPLCs, an LCMS, and QTOF off-site if they want it. So, you know, still not being done. This is very similar to what we would like to do. Here's a whole bunch of not being done. There's nothing happening here, nothing to look at. Move on. You know, these are all the techniques that are not being deployed at the moment. This is a paper of nearly 50,000 analyses over 5 years of all of the drugs that aren't ecstasy that can't be analyzed using pill testing. Nearly 50,000 of them. So you should ignore this. And honestly, saying that it can't be done, to me, feels like chairs don't exist, or, you know, cats aren't a thing. It's being done. It's there. With the greatest respect to our opponents, they are superb analytical chemists. They have no expertise of doing this in the festival world. And that's what's important. If you want to know what can be done, ask the people who are actually doing it. Check it uses the Department of Medical Biochemistry out of the University of Vienna. Who the hell are they? They're awesome, who they are. They're some of the best chemists in Europe at the moment. I'm not saying what we do is perfect. It's not. Every system's got its flaws. But it's the process that alters people's people's behaviour. You can argue that you can't find this, you can't find that, I don't like that, where's the electricity coming from? You can argue that. And that's valid. But I'm talking about the process of pill testing, not the technology. As a whole, it gives us more information than we had before, and more powers of persuasion than we've ever had. And there's this French term, le mieux est l'ennemi du bien. You cannot allow perfection to become the enemy of good. So, this is what forensic testing is all about. You need to know. You're going to prosecute somebody, you're going to send someone to jail. I need to change somebody's behavior. My bar is quite different. It gives a green light to drug use. I have no idea how it gives a green light. You know, does this give a green light to bomb disposal? No, it doesn't. I'm turning up with a team of doctors, a team of scientists, to encourage people to change their behavior. That doesn't give a green light to anything. One of the ones that I like the best, and I think, Andrew, you might have been behind this, is that countries that have pill testing have higher rates of drug use. It was certainly this year we were quoted, and this was misrepresented by your colleagues in the Liberal Party. Here's the thing. They introduced pill testing because of the high rates of drug use to bring those high rates down. Shush, don't tell anybody. Who's going to pay for it? Well, it's expensive, you all get so stingy. You're already coughing up shit tons of money to do stuff that's crap. Sniffer dogs, please. Enhanced critical care for a weekend, $500,000? God, they're laughing at that. Maybe send it to you, maybe you can't do anything about it. That might be a problem if we were saying in any way that what we are doing is safe. Even if it's MDMA, even in our tiny little study, we were showing that 1/3 of people were abandoning their plans to consume it. Can't treat an overdose, yeah? No, that's my deal. I'm the guy who treats the overdose, that's my deal. But it does go one step further. This is immunization, this is prevention. It prevents that. That's measles. That's what pill testing does. It prevents overdoses. If you're trying to use pill testing to treat an overdose, you haven't a clue what you're doing. You certainly haven't a clue what you're talking about. You can't predict a reaction, man. What reaction? An allergic reaction? An idiosyncratic reaction? Maybe some sort of colorimetric reaction? No, you can't predict it. It just don't happen very often. And if it does, it's within the medical confines and we can treat it. The experts don't want it. Well, that's all of the experts from the AOD sector. So that'll be the experts who aren't in that photo, who think that it should be introduced as a matter of priority since 2016. There's a few other bodies that you could have heard of. There's the College of Physicians, the College of Psychiatrists, the Pharmaceutical Society of Australia, the College of Emergency Nurses, the ambulance folk. They're coming out again this week as well, and the midwives. But apart from that, if you can find an expert outside that group, they definitely don't want it. So you're absolutely right. I love the sort of individual role allocations that you've got in Victoria, where the police make all the health decisions. And I applaud that. I've got a degree of training in tactical medicine, and the sooner we get issued as doctors with firearms, the better. The general public wants it. I mean, that's pretty unusual for Australia. You're quite a conservative mob. All your fun people are over in Europe. But this is like, more than half, and that's including all parties, want it. It sends the wrong message. Well, what's the right message? That you should sacrifice a couple of kids every year to the craft, to the gods, to hope that the death of your youngsters will be acceptable. That is not the right message. That's the message that you're transmitting at the moment. So largely the arguments that we're faced with is just politicians throwing crap at a wall and seeing what sticks at the moment. And I see enough of that. Basta! This is daft. This is the sort of, I don't know if you ever watch, it's the ABC, and it might not filter through here, but the Casper Jonquil, this crazy right-wing lunatic who hates everything. That's what the people who hate pill testing are all about. The problem is you're mid-season. You should already be doing this. You should have been doing it when we were talking about it in the early 2000s. So what are you scared of? What is it that's freaking you out? I think, I don't know if it's a word, but I'm using it. I'm calling it lusitanophobia. I think one of your fears is that Australia might suddenly turn into Portugal. I think you're concerned, the opponents of pill testing are concerned that the enormous budget that goes to prohibition, it's not just law enforcement, it's across the board. It's huge, it's 2/3 of everything that we spend on drugs in this country. I think you're concerned that something like what happened in Portugal might happen here, that the budget gets transferred to health, and all of a sudden all of the metrics that can be measured as far as health is concerned are improved. That'd be scary if you were on the receiving end. I think you're also a little scared of having a grown-up dialogue about drugs. Because drugs, it's much easier just to say no. Why should you get involved in this? I've got a giraffe talking to my children. I don't need to use anything. You have no nuance. You have no nuance in your discussion in Australia about drugs policy. And I think that is terrifying for a lot of people who rely on this scenario for their